Ty Jerome over the past 3 games has had a really impressive stat line, and throughout this season he's been one of the best bench players in the NBA, giving him a pretty important role on arguably the best team in the league. In this video we're going to do a deep dive on the stats and film to see exactly how he's doing it. Now Ty this year has been doing a vast majority of his work out of pick and roll, where he's got the skill and basketball feel to do a ton of damage as both a scorer and playmaker. But there's one specific element that I think has really opened up Jerome's creation this year, and that's going to be his 3-point shooting off the dribble. Ty so far this year is shooting a career high on pull-up threes, and again many of these looks naturally find him out of pick and roll. If he turns the corner and the big is sagged back below the arc, Ty has the footwork and mechanics to quickly gather and rise up. Plus he's also comfortable elevating from range. This right here is a deep 30-foot bomb.
We'll set the stage for Tuesday night.
Now when creating these pull-ups, Ty doesn't really have a deep bag of step backs or separation moves, but he is very good at simply running his man off the pick and creating clean windows to elevate. He's not going to do anything super advanced here. He's just going to turn his back and work his man down towards the deep wing to then take one dribble off the pick and rise up. And while Ty doesn't have the deepest bag of step backs, he's able to make up for that by having sharp footwork into his jumper, where he's comfortable pulling up going both right and left while drifting at awkward angles. Watch him take one dribble and float out towards half court. And with his momentum pulling him back, Ty has the footwork to settle himself for a stable jumper. The footwork on this shot is pretty tough, where Ty's working off the screen to his right and Claxton comes up to hedge, but Jerome's going to hesitate by lifting up his chest and using his eyes to sell the pass to the roller. And when Claxton shifts back down, Ty's going to pivot his right foot all the way around, getting himself angled to the rim for his jumper. So Ty being able to pull up going both right and left lays the foundation for the rest of his creation out of pick and roll, because that outside threat forces his man to fight over, which then allows him to turn the corner and make plays. With the ball in pick and roll, I think Ty does his best work as a passer. He's elite at needling deliveries through tight gaps. He's got a good feel of the entire court, while also being comfortable snapping one-hand deliveries with either hand. And I think these one-hand passes are low-key the most important attribute to his playmaking. First, it gives him a quick passing trigger off the dribble. If the big in drop overcommits to him just slightly, he's snapping a pass with no waste in movement. We'll see the Knicks here icing the screen towards the sideline, and when Ty takes his dribble to his left, this big has to at least slide over to respect him. And with no fat, Ty's going to snap this pocket pass over to Jared Allen, and this defender from here has no chance of recovering. And Jerome can also use these one-hand passes to punish the weak side defense. We'll see him here read this defender sliding over to tag the roller, so Ty's going to whip this pass over to the opposite wing, putting the defense in a scramble. So because Ty can instantly capitalize on passing windows off the bounce, he makes life for the help side defense really difficult. If they overcommit to him or the screener, he's got both the feel and passing mechanics to instantly punish them, and that naturally gives Ty more space when he's playing downhill, making it easier for him to score. Now similar to what we saw with Jerome's perimeter scoring, his game when playing downhill isn't that creative or dynamic. He doesn't have the explosiveness to play above the rim, while lacking the footwork and length to use Euro steps or different strides. Instead, Ty mostly leans on angles, physicality, and pace. Like we've gone over, Ty's outside shooting forces the defense to fight over, which makes it easy for him to get the defense on his hip, to then protect the ball and bump his way towards the basket. And while I wouldn't say Ty is the strongest player off the dribble, he's still very comfortable both initiating and absorbing contact. Watch him here throw that inside shoulder into Cole Anthony's chest, to then bounce out and initiate more contact, setting up this floater off the glass. Look how this defender has to open up his stance to get over this pick, and Ty's gonna again get into his body and bump him into the deep paint, setting up another floater.
Cleveland, Jerome, fading away.
Around the basket, Ty can also mix up his rhythm to create scoring windows. Watch him here jump early off his ball side foot to sneak this finish up and past the defense. But then he can also decelerate and get to methodical finishes around the basket. He's going to set this drive up by going between to then float his feet up, setting up this blow by to his right. Then he's going to hesitate again by getting heavy on that left foot and pushing himself into another drive. And then around the basket, he's going to get to a Luka Doncic style deceleration and finish. Now, like I mentioned, Jerome is limited to a certain degree around the basket. His lack of size and explosiveness keeps him from consistently finishing well in traffic. While he has developed some different tools to work around this in spots, he's still not a top tier deep paint scorer. But one way Ty has been able to work around his lack of size and bounce is to instead stop short and sink these runners. And a case could be made that Ty has the best floater bag in the league. So far this year, Jerome is shooting over 64% on all his runners, which is the highest for all players in the league who attempt at least 2 per game. And what's most impressive is that some of these looks are extremely difficult.
Navigate to the free throw line, floats it up and in.
One of Ty's go-to shots is to first turn the corner, veer back into his man, then rise up into a floater behind the free throw line. Most players would instead gather the ball and rise up for a jumper, but Ty is more comfortable with these one-hand push shots. And what also makes these look so effective is that Ty can set them up in a variety of ways. I've already shown him for the most part elevating off 2 feet, but he can also rise up off 1 foot without breaking his momentum. We'll see him here come off this screen with a head of steam, to then pick up off his left foot and immediately rise up off his right foot, allowing him to parachute the ball over this drop big. So when turning the corner off these screens, Jerome is a real threat as both a passer and scorer. He's got pretty much every passing read and pick and roll down. He's got the physicality to chisel his way towards the basket. Plus he has debatably the best floater package in the league. So because Ty has the dual threat of both passing and scoring, all he has to do when he turns the corner is read the defense. If the big lays back and plays the roller, his floater game is going to most likely be open. Or if that big commits over to the ball, then his passing reads are going to be open.
Jerome, wow, to Mobley.
But what really separates Ty from your typical backup point guard is both his ability to play with pace and manipulate the defense. When playing in these 2-man games, Ty is elite at changing speeds and using his eyes to move the defense off their spot. Notice on this play how Ty is going to slow down and put his eyes on Evan Mobley, which gets Isaiah Stewart stuck in the mud, opening up this easy floater over the top. We can see the same effect on this play, where again Isaiah Stewart is hesitant to commit over and give Jared Allen space in front of the rim, leading to another easy finish. And in the same way Ty can weaponize his passing to open up his scoring, he can also leverage that scoring to open up his passing. Notice here how Ty is going to come off this pick, then veer back into his man to set up his floater, but that pulls Rudy Gobert up, clearing up the lane with his pocket pass. I like this play here, where this defender sinks back to keep tabs on Mobley, but watch how Ty is going to pull him across with one aggressive dribble, setting up another dunk. And then on top of all these tight passing reads in the paint, Jerome can also map the whole floor. So if you send additional help from the weak side, he has no problem lasering these skip passes. So when defending Ty Jerome in ball screens, there is no perfect way to guard him. His pull-up shooting punishes any type of soft coverage. He's got the floater and passing chops to cook the big and drop. Plus he can also read the defense on the second side of the floor. And then if you try to blitz or put 2 on the ball, you're then going to have to deal with Mobley or Allen diving towards the rim. And Mobley specifically this year has taken some big jumps as both a scorer and facilitator. So it's going to be tough for the defense to stomach him catching the ball in the middle of the floor. So because Ty's naturally a very effective scorer and creator out of pick and roll, he's an easy fit alongside both Mitchell and Garland. His ability to draw attention and put the defense in rotation gives those guys advantages to attack. And Cleveland's offense can still run pretty smoothly with one of their star guards off the floor. The Cavaliers as a team so far have the highest offensive rating in the NBA, and that number takes an even bigger jump when Jerome is on the court. Now obviously both Mitchell and Garland are also high-level on-ball creators, so Ty does spend a good amount of his half-court possessions off the ball as a typical spot-up threat. But from here, Ty can do just as much damage as a scorer. First, he's shooting a blazing hot 49% on all his catch and shoot threes, which is the 3rd highest for all players who attempt at least 2 per game. And many of these shots naturally find Ty throughout the flow of the game. Again, he's normally sharing the court with an all-star caliber guard, who's more than capable of breaking down the defense and setting up these open looks.
Behind him, Jerome, all day to shoot.
Now, Ty, being an extremely accurate shooter off the catch, naturally draws heavy closeouts on the perimeter, which he can leverage to create clean downhill drives. Again, athletically, I don't think Ty has an elite burst with the ball, but he is good at attacking gravity off the catch by both reading angles and getting momentum through the pass. Notice here how Ty gets his feet moving before he receives the ball, allowing him to pick up a head of steam into the stride. Notice on this play how Ty is going to relocate out to his right as the ball gets driven towards the middle, which gives him a better angle to explode through the gap. And again, look how he skips his feet up off the catch, which allows him to load up and push towards the basket. And like you just saw, Ty is always moving and relocating on the perimeter, which sets up cleaner driving angles. And Ty can both explode through the catch into open space, as well as cook the defense with quick jab steps and changes of direction.
To Jerome. Jerome shakes around Holland. Hand floats it in.
And when attacking these scrambles, Jerome also likes to unleash that floater back by both stopping and popping these shots off 2 feet, as well as rising up off 1 foot in stride. So when you add up Jerome's spot-up shooting, with his ability to read angles and attack rotations off the catch, you're left with the guy that's a lethal spot-up threat to have alongside both Garland and Mitchell. But then along with that ability to attack rotations, Ty can also do some damage off a live dribble. Now, I wouldn't say Jerome is a top-tier isolation scorer, but he does have the handle, pace, and footwork to get buckets in open space. Like we saw with his pick and roll scoring, Ty has a sneaky bag in the paint, where he can throw out some different strides and deceleration. Watch him here throw up this shot fake right on the gather step, to then extend to the rim with these next 2 strides. But now look at this play, where Ty is gonna again gather the ball, but instead of throwing up a shot fake on the pickup, he's gonna instead extend the ball off his next step. And as this defender lifts up, Ty has the control to slow his momentum and find a finishing window. So as a backup point guard, Ty Jerome gives the Cavs everything they could want plus more. You can run the offense through him in pick and roll, and you're going to consistently get high quality looks. But then at the same time, you can also play through Garland or Mitchell, and Ty can do just as much damage spotting up. I think Ty's ability to create offense both on or off the ball makes him a pretty flexible piece in the Cavs system. And that versatility is obviously going to be huge for this team come playoff time. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments who the kids should break down next. The kids here.